Thank you. Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to present to the committee. And please, a shout out to your secretariat, in particular, the clerk of the committee, for, I think, moving quite a bit to enable Jordan to join us this morning. So thank you very much. I'll leave it to Jordan, to our Executive Director, to kick off.
Welcome, Jordan.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I was asked yesterday to present yesterday and had a full day, which is sort of illustrative of really the sole point that we wish to make. We have done a written submission, which Ray has drafted, and happy to for him to answer any questions. But I don't plan on reploughing ground I'm sure has already been covered by other submitters. That this bill, its Henry VIII provisions, is frankly using an emergency as an excuse to give the government unchecked power. From the Taxpayers Union perspective, we've seen this with very loosely controlled emergency expenditure on things apparently related to COVID that were very clearly spent on and wasted on things totally unrelated to COVID. I'm from Hawke's Bay. I'm going down to Hawke's Bay in a few hours, and I, like so many New Zealanders, want the recovery from these emergencies to be done quickly. But this bill, and particularly the process, is frankly taking the proverbial. We found out about this on Wednesday. I go onto the parliamentary website and I see that written submissions close at 5 p.m. on March the 29th, 2023. And just above it, it says this page was published on March the 29th, 2023. We found out about it at about 3 o'clock, 2 hours before this submissions on this bill close. This isn't inconsequential. It gives the minister the ability to park, but not just park, amend the a whole laundry list of legislation if even a tenuous link can be made to the emergency or the economic development or the recovery, as the learned Professor Dean Knight has made. This is not just a constitutional outrage in its provisions, the process in which, frankly, the Parliament, and I appreciate, Mr. Chair, that you're not from the government, but you are a part of this process, and I understand the opposition voted in support of this in first reading, meaning you knew the report back date. And the sole point I wish to make is that if you're going to treat the New Zealand public with contempt, if I had have had more time, I would have gone down to the dry cleaner and picked up my clown costume and put on the red nose and the hair and the big floppy shoes and come here today dressed as a clown. Because frankly, that is the way you are treating New Zealanders running a process like this. And I leave you with the question of, is this why you entered Parliament? To pass legislation that any independent observer, Dean Knight, which does not share the politics of the Taxpayers Union, and groups like the Taxpayers Union, I'm sure the various industry groups and stakeholders that would no doubt be presented today are telling you it's a disgrace. You know it's a disgrace. Is this why you entered Parliament? So if you want to have any questions specifically on the bill, obviously, Ray's put together a submission in a couple of hours. He's available, but the process and the content is disgraceful. What more do you want me to say?
Well, nothing, thank you, Jordan. But seeing as you asked the question, I'll tell you exactly why I went to Parliament, for this reason. And I'm sure almost all the members of the committee went to Parliament for exactly this reason as well. Now, whether we're doing it in the best manner or not is entirely for you to tell us. And that's why we call for submissions. But there isn't weeks to deal with this issue. There isn't months to deal with this issue. If you want to go back to Hawke's Bay and tell your Hawke's Bay people have got another 3 months to wait for this legislation to go through the process, you go and do it. Thank you. Simon Court, you've got a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Oh, look, Jordan, understand your frustration at the very short submission time. Look, ACT has opposed the bill up until this point, but we hope we can encourage officials to panel beat it back into a state that might be acceptable. I just want to ask you about your view on the other options. Regulatory impact assessment says there were three options: the do nothing, and clearly you would know Hawke's Bay needs help, whether it's a special economic zone or waiving some of the RMA controls so people can get on building stuff. One of the other options was to do just that, direct amendment of statutes by Parliament. Do you think that in the case where we need some urgent legislative modifications, that it would be helpful to have parliamentary scrutiny even under urgency?
Yeah, or even immediately ex post. I mean, the thing that is extraordinary is that these powers, if it's so urgent, then allow the powers for 6 or 8 weeks while a proper process has gone through for the extension of it. I mean, that come on, this isn't rocket science, guy. The fact that this even got to this stage is just blows my mind.
Yeah, thank you.
New Zealand.